Everybody, it's 7 o'clock. Let's get started with our regular meeting. In accordance with the order of the Office of the Governor issued on March 16, 2020, the City Council of the City of Cotulla, Texas will hold a regular meeting at 7 p.m. on Thursday, January 28, 2021, at the Alexander Convention Center, 290 North IH 35 Access Road, Cotulla, Texas, 78014. Council will have the option to attend in person or by conference call. The citizens of Cotulla will also be able to listen to the meeting by video conference. Public comments will only be accepted in writing no later than 30 minutes in advance of the meeting by sending them to City Secretary Bianca Maldonado at biancam.citysecretary@gmail.com. Questions regarding agenda items can be addressed by calling or messaging the following numbers during the meeting. That number is 830-483-1461. Item number 1, roll call. We have Mr. Ayala. I believe he's the only one absent today. Do we have an excuse for him?
Mr. Mayor, I received an email this afternoon from his attorney, Mr. Devada, indicating that he had fallen and had injured his hands and was requesting an excuse.
Okay, Councilman, I need a first motion to excuse Mr. Ayala.
So moved.
First motion made by Mr. Gonzalez. I need a second.
I second.
Second by Mr. Garcia. All in favor say aye. All
Aye.
opposed say nay.
Nay.
I got 2 nays.
Break the tie.
2 nays and 2 ayes.
2 nays and 2 ayes. My vote would be towards nay.
Moses denied.
So the
No
motion.
excuse.
No
What's that?
excuse.
No excuse. It would be an unexcused absent. Moving on to item number 3, will everybody please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? We got the flag.
Where is it?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Citizens to be heard. In order to limit the number of people in attendance per the governor's order, public comments will only be accepted in writing no later than 30 minutes in advance of the meeting by sending them to City Secretary Bianca Maldonado at biancam.citysecretary@gmail.com. City Council cannot discuss any present issues, nor may any action be taken at any given issue at this time. Was there any citizen comments? No citizen comments. Moving on to item number 5, departmental and committee reports.
You have all 5 of the, or whatever the number is, of the reports on hand of the activities that have taken place since the last meeting. The biggest struggle has been to keep people working because of the COVID this pandemic, and our staff has at different times been affected, but we've been able to move people around in order to be able to do our functions. The greatest challenge that we have as a group is that we're trying to get vaccines for all of our employees. We believe that they're frontline workers. I have sent emails to the governor, to the senator, to state representative. I have gotten them. I've gotten some response from them. We have been able to get some of our employees, but we've only been able to get about 10%, I think, that have been actually vaccinated. And our concern is that they all be vaccinated within the next month. And so we're trying to find ways to make sure that we take care of them so that they'll be safe and their families will be safe as well.
I had a question about protocol when it comes to dealing with the COVID situation. If you're a vaccinated person and you come into contact with somebody with COVID, are you then supposed to isolate as well, even though you've been vaccinated?
I think you need to probably ask your doctor that.
Well, I'm thinking about from the business perspective. You're trying to keep your employees employed, but they're vaccinated, yet they came into contact with someone that has had COVID, and you're supposed to isolate. But if they've already gotten COVID, then they've used up their COVID days.
The way we're doing it is that if an employee, they rode in the cab of the truck, one employee tests positive, everybody gets in that cab, gets quarantined, and the employee that came back goes to take a test to get negative. For instance, I contacted COVID.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up getting a negative test. I quarantined for 14 days. But since I work in an office by myself, I'm not really impacting anybody. But all of the employees, sanitation, water, and all the other areas, the city has been paying for all of the testing, has been paying for anything related to what they need to do in order to follow our protocol.
Okay, so the city's been paying for the test. Okay.
We paid for the testing. We were fortunate that we did get some money from the CARES Act. We ended up doing, I want to say, 2 testing sites. We did that for the general community and for our employees as well. And so we had all of our employees tested. I believe we did between 400 and 500 tests over the course of those things that we made available to the general public. The CARES money was used specifically for items that were related to the COVID and things that were not previously in the budget prior to March of last year.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to understand, like, the vaccine is supposed to be sort of a resolution to, being able to continue with business as usual. However, if we're still going to hold people to, like, even if you're vaccinated, you have to isolate, yet you've already used up your COVID days for that year according to your work or something. Like, I'm trying to understand, how is that resolution going to resolve anything if we're still going to be isolating, still going to be, how can we get back to business as usual?
We have not set a timeline for a restriction of COVID dates. As long as the employees are able to let us know that they in fact have been potentially contaminated, we will follow the protocol and the city will absorb the cost.
Okay.
Larry, I think that we need to kind of do a little more study on it. Not study, but read or ask more questions. Because I had heard that even though we are vaccinated, we are still capable, or we could get infected, but we won't be a carrier.
Probably what Mr. Garcia is probably trying to ask is that if you come in contact with somebody who has the virus, do you quarantine for 10 days, which is what is recommended, or tested at 5th or 7th day to see if you're still negative or
That's why I'm
positive?
saying we need to look at the CDC guidelines or questions.
The CDC guidelines are pretty straight. Employee that's out in the street may or may not come into contact with anybody. We don't know that. But they are practicing social distancing. They are wearing masks. So there's some form of protection for them. The bigger danger to them is a contagion from an individual that they work with. And that's what we've been making most of our efforts occur in that instance. And so that's what we've been protecting against. We have somebody that does temperature checking when people from the outside come into City Hall to make sure that if we see anybody with a fever, we don't allow them to come in. We allow them to come in through the drive-through or some other way of making payments or whatever
Yeah,
transactions.
you're still trying to follow the protocol in some manner.
Yes,
Mhm.
Yes.
yes. But if there's a specific question that you want me to find out,
Well, I don't think this is the time. This is for how the city is handling their COVID situation. I'm wondering in general, like, what are we doing as a council to inform the people of what to do? Maybe you've had COVID and now you're being told to go take the vaccine. Should you do that? Like, where are they getting their information? Are we doing anything for the public? But that's why I don't think it's now that would be appropriate time. Maybe open floor or.
My understanding is that they're vaccinating people even if they've had it.
My doctor told me to go ahead and get it.
Get
I
the
had COVID,
vaccination.
I was in quarantine for 60 days.
Yeah.
Because I kept coming up positive and positive and positive. Finally, the Texas Department of
Texas Department of Health and
Department of
Human
Health.
Services.
They called me and said, Mr. Garcia, because of your immune system and you've had COVID, you had COVID. All the tests that you do show one thing, two things. You have COVID or you had it. I had it, but you're not contagious. You're not contagious. Then you can go back to work too.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to understand, because I know there's certain tests, like for example, the PCR test, it'll come out up to a month, or I've even heard up to 3 months, you'll still have
Positive, yeah.
some signs of COVID. But I'm trying to think, how are we resolving the issue when the issue is contain the spread? Our methods of containing the spread, to me, haven't served its purpose, because they've been doing temperature scans at the school. I was a teacher, I am a teacher, and I contracted the virus from school, so that was with everybody being temperature checked. So unless we're going to test everybody that's going to go to a public area, like you must be tested to enter, that's where I'm trying to that's how I'm trying to figure out how are we containing this, or what. I know you're saying the city of Cotulla pays for the test for the workers there to make sure they're tested, but
And we paid for the community as well.
okay, so
We-
then
We don't have 500 workers.
would it be logical to come up with some sort of plan where you're testing on a daily basis? I know that just the logistics of the test is something to worry about.
We don't have independent money. So the money that we used was given to the cities directly for a purpose related to the pandemic. And we tried to utilize that money to its best effect. And so that's why we did the testing into the community. And the other things that we're currently doing as far as sanitizing the offices, getting the PP protection for all the employees, making sure that they
So
have those
there were
things.
funds that were
So-
allocated, and we've already come up with the plan, and we're executing that plan right now.
Well, we had a timeline that we needed to finish by December the 15th of everything that we had programmed, and everything had to have been spent
Okay.
within that period of time. So we spent the money, and we sent the money to be redistributed. It is my current understanding, although I have not received a document that says that we got additional CARES money with the second stimulus that came in, the one that gave $600 to whatever the employees are, or not the employees, but the general community. When we get that notification, we will tell you what that money is, and we can bring it to the table, and you can say, these are the areas that we can spend this in. Where do you want to spend it? One of the other areas that we spent money on is we started a food distribution. There is a great need in the community for food distribution, but the food bank ran out of food, and we couldn't keep doing it. We wanted to do it every month, and we're still going to try. I've spoken to them again. We still want to do that because that need continues.
And is there a specific committee that is in charge of deciding how we deal with COVID if, say, they give us more funds this year to deal with?
You are the committee. You would come to an agenda.
I'm just
item.
trying to, I just wanted to make sure, because in that case, if I wanted to discuss maybe a plan of action, that would be brought up during at the end of the meeting?
No, there's no open discussion. If we're gonna discuss a plan to do CARES money, whatever. It would be on the agenda for discussion.
Okay, so I gotta get it put on the agenda, bring it up, like, say, at this meeting.
We'll
and
put
then-
it on the agenda.
We have to post notice 72 hours.
72 hours.
Before the meeting.
Okay, Friday?
Friday
Thursday or
would be
Friday.
good, yeah.
Typically, we have meetings on Thursday nights, so Bianca is posting.
Even
an
more
agenda
Monday morning.
But when it is a new item, it's a general discussion, so you really don't have to specifically do anything. The only thing that you have to do is to have a general discussion. And then as you reach consensus on that discussion, you then instruct staff to put an item on the agenda to do the particulars of what was discussed.
Okay, that makes more sense, thank you.
Should we get involved, the doctor that comes, that's with the health department, to give us some, like the questions that Mr. Garcia has?
Maybe an
More
update?
information?
We can get him to come.
Because I heard the meeting at the school and he was there. People had questions like.
Yeah, we can ask him to come and do a general discussion and then have him open the floor for questions.
Yeah, and get the fire chief and.
What health department is that?
He is,
The health authority.
he was hired by the county as a health authority. I spoke to him Monday this week. His name is Dr. Roth.
Yeah.
He was trying to do the vaccination sites for the hub for today and tomorrow. They will be here tomorrow. They had to use a facility at the nutrition center today.
Oh, that's why it's blocked, Diamond?
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to come that way.
Yeah, I had to
Can't
turn
even
around.
Yeah.
get
So I think it would be a good idea to get, have somebody here and, if we have questions.
I'll have his number and I'll call him and ask him. I wouldn't ask anybody else.
Oh, that's
It's gonna
fine.
be a good idea also to put it on the website to advise the public if they have any questions they want to ask to him.
And he can appear by Zoom as well.
He can appear by Zoom as well.
Yeah, but also
Yeah, he was
mention
by
to the
Zoom that
public.
day.
Huh?
He was in Zoom,
In
in la escuela, in the
la
school.
escuela.
Yeah.
We're gonna upgrade our system for virtual, and we're gonna go to Zoom Premier so that it'll make it a little bit easier for Juan to be able to schedule people on the virtual site. But it's a very good point.
Excellent.
Unfortunately, and I may get stoned for this, people don't listen.
Yeah.
No.
And,
Yeah.
and the major problem that we have, and you still have, is that apparently there are some people that don't care.
Yeah, no, that's, I'm trying to just wrap my head around, we're making decisions based off the data being collected in our city, but a large majority of the city doesn't listen, either go get tested, they won't, or stay quarantined, they don't, things like that, and so I'm trying to figure out, okay, what's the best way that we can actually do something without waiting on, oh, there's this number, if we reach a set number of people, then we're going to go into a strict lockdown or something, I'm not advocating for a lockdown, but there should be some way for us to at least make an impact.
We do have an item later on in the agenda, and you can add whatever your comments are for that, because we are gonna extend the mask mandate.
Okay.
We had kind of let it go, and we're coming back with a mask mandate.
All right, any other questions on departmental reports?
I just wanna, like Mr. Doylena touched on especially the sanitation. They've picked it up with, a lot of employees have been sick and, street department has to help and the staff inside. I just wanna commend them for, the trash it was always picked up. Never stopped, the guys picked it up 5 o'clock in the morning, and I just wanna commend them and for being there, maybe going above and beyond the call, to for the trash not to stay. So I just want to commend the whole staff, every employee that had part of that.
Thank you to them.
Larry, are we providing any admin pay for the employees who get the COVID if they don't have no sick leave?
We, when they quarantine, because they get sick, they get paid their regular salary.
Okay.
Part of the CARES Act money allows us to reimburse ourselves in the process for that money.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Mr. Gonzalez, I think you're right. Our staff has been doing a great job. So we commend them for doing that.
And I
we
always see
thank
them in the truck. They've got their masks. I mean,
We thank them for their service
Yes.
very much
Mhm.
to all of our staff. So moving on to item number 6, approval of minutes, November 12, 2020. Ms. Georgia, was there any changes made in the minutes? No.
November 12th.
That's the last meeting we had.
Yes, sir.
So if there were no changes, I need a first motion to approve item number 6.
So moved.
First motion made by Mr. Juan Garcia. I need a second. Second by Mr. Sertuche. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 7, discussion and possible action.
Do you want to do a motion to move item number 9 so we can take care of the gentlemen that are on the...
Okay. Councilman, we're gonna jump over to number 9.
You need a motion?
I need a motion to move item number 9 up. We have a gentleman on, waiting for this, item.
So,
First motion made by Mr. Gonzalez, second by Mr. Sertuche. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Item number 9, discussion and possible action on a preliminary plat of 116.18 AC, 5,060,932 square feet, situated in the INGNRR Survey 8, Support 62, NSA and MGRR Company A, 1657 Love Subdivision.
Jorge, are you gonna make that presentation?
Jorge from SMB, you making a presentation, sir?
Yes, the applicant submitted a preliminary plat with some documents for review. We provided some comments for the plat. I know this is just preliminary, so some of the stuff that we're gonna mention, or I'm gonna mention on the plat comments, are also gonna be used for final acceptance. But based on the submittal, and I don't know if, is the engineer on the, is he on the video?
They're on.
They are,
They're on.
okay. I have a list of comments that we've provided the city related to this plat. Most of them are minor, but if the applicant doesn't have any objections to any of the comments, or he wants to discuss them, we can do so.
Any questions on item number 9, sir?
Is this the one by,
This is the old Kimosabi.
The old Kimasabi
Oh,
subdivision.
It's right under the underpass.
yeah.
I brought copies of the plat. I don't know if y'all have copies in your books, but.
a very small one.
Yes,
This is a
item
small
number 9. You
version
don't
of
have
the
it?
full size.
Tengo el mano.
He's got bigger ones.
Mr. Martinez, are you recommending action to,
Yes, sir. Right now, at this point, I'd like to recommend approval of the preliminary plat, subject to the comments that we're providing the applicant.
We
and
need,
what is the applicant's name?
we need to get a response from the applicants to see
Yes.
if they have any questions about the comments.
What's his name, Juan?
Hi, my name's Brad Peck. I'm the real estate project manager for Love. And then I also have David Tabor, who is our system engineer. So I'll give David an opportunity if he has any questions about the comments.
Yeah, I don't think I have any initial questions. George and I went over those a couple weeks ago. I would like to maybe get kind of a more formalized list of.
Say that again, formalize what?
He doesn't have the list, is that what he said?
Yeah, I haven't received, I guess, any.
You didn't send them the
I
comments?
went over on the phone, and that's when I sent it to the city. So if he hasn't seen them, then he hasn't seen the official list that I sent.
Would you make sure he gets
Yes, I will.
a list? Is there any other concern?
I didn't have any concerns on mine when I did speak with George.
At this point, unless council has any other concerns that are identified, generally when you do the plat, the developer of the plat is responsible for all of the improvements that are done according to ordinance. And so in the plat itself, when you record the plat, it has a comment section on one side, which the developer is responsible, and he's got to meet all of the comments that are identified by the engineer of what to do in order for the plat to move forward. They generally come in and do all the site clearing, and they follow all those comments until they're finished. There is another way to do the process. If the developer wants to, he can start moving everything in right away. We would need to go, because this is listed as a preliminary plat.
Right.
We need to, if you approve what has been presented to you tonight, then you would approve the preliminary plat. And that gives the developer and the engineer time to work together on how to finalize the document. We would bring it back to you as quickly as we could, as early as 2 weeks from now. And we would then bring the final plat for approval. Once you agree to the final plat, then the council approves it, mayor executes it, and then their engineer would record it at the county courthouse. Do you guys have any other questions?
Just a little clarification here. So we're voting on the
Item
things-
number 9.
Item number 9 and the things that need to be done for this plat to be completed.
Correct.
And that includes just water being put out there? Or
What?
water and sewage being put out there? or-
There is a water line, but he needs to put in a certain size line into the property.
So just to clarify, so part of the preliminary plat is not you don't need a whole extensive package of information. You just need to show your general layout, how you're gonna be subdividing the property. To get final plat, which is the next step, they would have to submit a complete list, including engineering, construction plans, signed and sealed, traffic studies, geotechnical studies. And all those studies will show the pavement thickness that they're gonna do for the road, water lines, sewer lines, anything that needs to be done for the public improvements. Now, I will say that you mentioned the water line. There are some lines on this. I got a preliminary set of plans from the engineer. There's some water and sewer improvements that they're proposing. I know there's existing lines out there. They're gonna be relocated. So part of the review is to review what they're doing to the existing lines and what easements or any other things that are needed to complete the work, as they show on this layout. So if you see this road that comes in for the Loves, it's not currently in the same alignment of the existing water and sewer line that's out there. So part of this set of plans that he's gonna give us, they're gonna reroute stuff. And to approve that, we have to review them. So until we see the final documents, we'll be able to recommend either approval or comments based on what they say.
Yeah, they'll come back to us for
Yes, sir.
for
Yes, sir.
finalized
So
approval.
this is like our opportunity to say, hey, you forgot
Right.
that this needs to happen, or this is gonna be in the way, or something like
Right.
that. Okay.
That's correct.
All right. Just wanted clarification. Thank you.
Gentlemen, any other concerns that you guys have?
No, sir, no concerns. Appreciate your time and consideration, and if you have any questions about love specifics, I'm available to answer those.
Just make,
Thanks, guys.
just make a motion for the preliminary plat to be approved and staff to continue working with them for final approval.
I need a first motion to approve the preliminary plat and to instruct the staff to bring back a finalized approval plat.
So move.
First motion made by Mr. Sertuche, second by Mr. Juan Garcia. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Coming back up to item number 7, discussion and possible action on the resolution of the City of Cotulla, Election 1, Alderman to serve as Mayor Pro Tem for one term of 1 year.
You're required, since you had an election in November, you would have ordinarily done this in December, but since we didn't have a meeting, the council actually nominates somebody to be the Mayor Pro Tem. And it can be anybody. It can be a brand new council member, or it can be somebody who's been on the council.
Councilman?
I've been the mayor pro tem before, and I was thinking maybe assign Mr. Gonzalez if he wanted it. And I know that in time, there's going to be for both of you too. But since he's been here just a little bit longer.
What are the duties of?
You act in the absence of the mayor. So if the mayor for some reason can't come to the meeting, you would preside over the meeting.
Okay.
Other than that, there's really not any official duty you have. You may sign checks and do other
So
things.
this
Well,
would be
they're
as
gonna do
long
that
as
even if
he's the
not-
mayor.
he's not the mayor.
Then you would be,
For a whole
he
year.
would take the place of that.
It'd
Oh,
be-
okay.
Yeah, in case I'm absent.
You'd be the mayor pro tem, I believe, until the next mayor is elected.
Yes, if there's a vacancy.
Right.
And as Mayor Pro Tem, can you vote or?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
Not like,
As a
It's
matter of-
not the same
Okay.
as
Right.
his deal.
So you retain all your rights, you act in the absence of
Okay.
the mayor, for
But-
whatever purpose.
But unlike the mayor pro tem, the mayor cannot vote.
right.
But once, if you assume his role, you can still vote at that particular meeting.
Right.
Yes?
I'll accept.
So you would just need a motion
You need a
to
motion.
appoint him as the mayor.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Mr. Gonzalez as the mayor pro tem.
Second.
I have a first motion to approve
And you
to
can
appoint,
vote for yourself. Yes.
I second.
to appoint Mr. Gonzalez. First motion is made by Mr. Juan Garcia, second by Mr. Reynaldo Garcia. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Mr. Gonzalez, thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 10,
Hey,
presentation of financial statements by Jorge Flores. Oh, I'm sorry. All right, skip number 8. Item number 8, discussion and possible action on a replat of Lot 11, Block 16 into lots 11A, 11B, 11C, and 11D, Block 16, Cotulla Business Park.
Good evening, Mayor, Councilman. This plat was previously approved, preliminary final back in December. This is just a formality to make sure everything is still good. I know that the actual Mylar copy of the plat is at the city offices for signature. But I brought copies in case anybody wants to see it. This is where the dialysis clinic will be going up, part of that property.
Thank you.
where is this guy located? It's right next to
It's already
the,
been built?
Yeah.
yes, right next to it.
Oh. So I was wondering why it was so thick. I was supposed to pass it down. I think I have one for Larry.
No, I'm good. I've already seen the
health clinic?
bigger copy.
Yeah.
Didn't you just sign it?
That's what they're showing us.
Yeah, I did, but I didn't have one for me.
Same one, yeah.
Yes.
One of the lots will sit where the dialysis clinic is, and the elderly nutrition center is the lot to your, I guess it'd be, if you look at the plat, the replat window on the plat I sent you, should be on the right-hand side on the bottom. Off of Baylor.
Let me start in the process so that the new council members understand what a plat is. Cities begin using plats in order to orderly organize the responsibilities of who was to provide what to whom. Cities typically don't have enough resources to pay for water lines, for sewer lines, to run the water lines into properties, the sewer lines into properties. When you don't have that, and for many years you didn't have that here, undersized lines, undersized sewer lines, low water pressures, all those things existed in the community because these things were never enforced. They were not done. A developer that comes into the property is responsible to develop his property in accordance to the guidelines that the city has said this is what is adequate for this development. So when you do a plat and you bring in so much acreage, you get an engineer, and the engineer then turns around and says, in order to be able to give water to these people, you're going to have to run a water line that's of a certain diameter. You're going to have to run a sewer line that is a certain diameter. That was not done here until 2010. In 2010, we created an ordinance. We said, if you're going to do these things, you're going to put in this size water line, this size sewer line. This is how you're going to pave the street. If it needs drainage, this is what you're going to do. So when the engineer is talking to a developer, like you saw a little while ago, he is telling the developer, in order for the city not to invest any money in your property, because it's your property, not the city's property, you're going to have to do all these things. And that's the only way that we're going to provide you service. If you don't do these things, we won't approve your development. And that is in order to protect the city, to protect the investment that the city has done over the course of time, the capacity that it has developed when it does water tanks, when it does sewer plants, to make sure that the danger to the people in the community is never affected by new development. People in the street don't actually believe that. People in the street, you know people, I know people. You tell them, and la ciudad le dio el agua y quién sabe qué, y que le dio quién sabe qué. That does not happen. If you're going to develop the property, and in this particular case, it's a certain size, we're telling them, in order to develop this property, we figure you're going to discharge so much, you need to put in an 8-inch sewer line or a 10-inch sewer line to our connection. If you're going to do a driveway, we expect you to do a street, and this is how the street is going to be constructed, and it's going to be constructed at your cost. So the community is not out in any of the development process. There are a lot of properties in the city that are still not platted. And when you look at little alleys, and then all of a sudden people complain about trash on the inside, and you go do an aerial, you'll see that they're little squares of land that nobody has access to, because they were never platted. Otherwise, there would have been a street platted, it would have given those people access, and you would not have allowed for water connections or sewer connections to be done, either regular or unstandard sizes. So moving forward from 2010, we have required every development to come in and to follow all these parameters to make sure that the people that live in the city do not finance the development of property for somebody else.
Yeah, they don't
It's
come out of
that
our pocket.
And that's what the whole premise is.
And Gatto subdivision across the interstate is one of them. That back in the day, well, we need more streets. What are you doing? Giving them sidewalks and new streets. You know, little that they know that it was all done at the developer's
It
cost.
was done by them. We did not pay a nickel into any of the properties, not this area here, not the one across the street, not the one on Lone Star Road. All of those properties were developed by those developers, and they paid for the water and sewer lines that run into those properties.
Including lift stations also.
Mr. Garcia, I just wanted to point two things out. We not only regulate what happens in the city, we have an additional mile where we enforce our subdivision regulations.
Outside the
So
city limits.
they have to come in and plat. The city and the county have an interlocal agreement which is required by law, and the city basically handles all of the platting issues. Mr. Doylena at one time gave a very good explanation about how you pay as a taxpayer into the equity of owning the capital of the city, the sewer, the water, the roads, etc. And when somebody comes in, they have to contribute to your capital. It's like a credit to the capital account, which is then
Impact.
ultimately owned by the city, because we're not going to
Impact
let
fees.
them do anything out there and receive city services unless they agree to be annexed.
Yeah.
So then what you're doing is you're growing that system each time, but not at the expense of the ratepayer
Yeah.
who does not own.
You don't mess up what we got going on just to put somebody new in.
Right, it
Right.
just it keeps getting bigger. Now we have more water lines, more sewer lines.
As they use your current capacity, which the ratepayer has paid for, he has to make a contribution to make sure that he increases the capacity so that there isn't any capacity loss on this side.
Yeah. No, I understand. Thank you.
Go ahead, Jorge, I'm sorry.
No, that's a very good explanation, so. No, and just reiterate, like I mentioned a little while ago, same thing, the sidewalk requirement, those are big, you know, water, sewer, street, that's what we do here. And as an engineer that has to sign off on them, I'm on this side too, you have to comply with the rules, and that's why we have our license, and if we don't comply, you know, that's part of the way it works.
And one other thing that I think is worth mentioning, for many years, and to some extent it's still occurring, you have substandard development in areas that are not regulated by a city, and those have turned into what they call colonias, which you may know what that is. You know, where somebody sells some land,
Yeah, no hookups.
they don't pave the roads, they don't put sewer, they don't do all those things. So because we're so close to the border, there's additional things that we have to comply with so that we don't end up with colonials.
Yeah.
It's
no,
a 60
understood.
mile.
Councilman, any other questions on item number 8? If not, I need a first motion to approve item number 8.
So move.
First motion made by Mr. Garcia. I need a second. Second by Mr. Sartuche. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 10. Mr. Martinez, thank you very much for that presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Moving on to item number 10, presentation of financial statements by Jorge Flores. Thank you for coming in, Mr. Flores.
Thank you, Mayor. Council members, good evening. It's been a while since you've seen a financial report, so there's actually two reports. the numbers are cumulative, but there's actually 2 different months since the last report. So the first report is the sales tax report. For the month of December, the city received 103,219, and for January, 92,611. So for the first 4 months of the year, the city has received 395,454, which is 34% less than the previous year. On the next page is the hotel motel tax collection report. In November, the city received 6,146, and in December, 6,854, for a total in the first quarter of 79,424, which is 74.7% less than last year.
What a drop.
Wow.
And then we have the statement of revenues and expenditures. Page number 1 is the general fund. Total revenues, 592,377. On page number 4, total expenditures of 554,484 for excess revenues of 37,892. Page number 5 is the water sewer fund. Total revenues 418,610. On the next page, total expenses of 280,168 for net income of 138,442. Page number 7 is the gas fund. Total revenue 77,251. Total expenses of 52,886 for net income of 24,365. And page number 8 is the solid waste fund. Revenues 195,792. Expenditures 157,553 for net income of 38,239. And the statement of revenues and expenditures was through December 31st. Are there any questions on the financial report?
We will be looking at the line items in the budget, although there's an item on the agenda tonight. I'm not prepared to make any recommendations, and I'm gonna ask them that be tabled. But we will be bringing your report, looking at the different things that we need to look for.
Excellent.
Is there any way I can ask if can there be any, I guess, for the future for some equipment for the city? Like a utility trailer?
What?
Yeah.
Oh, if there are minor pieces of equipment, we probably can. We will come back to you in 2 weeks with a resolution to go to government capital lending and have them place the 2 pieces of equipment, large pieces of equipment that we bought. And since we paid for them cash up front, we're gonna ask that they put them on, like you do a automobile payment for your home, and we're gonna pay them on a monthly basis, so that'll increase our liquidity a little bit.
Yes, sir.
So when we go through this process to see if the economy begins to improve and we begin to see some light at the end of the tunnel.
Okay.
But if you have a particular piece of equipment, and I think you told me about that before.
There's three items that
If you just send me the list, let me look at it and let me see what the cost is, and we'll see how we can make something happen.
Okay.
Taxes, which provide a big portion of an item, is generally collected on the front part of the budget year. And these last 3 days, the taxes become due before February 1st. And so if you pay after February 1st, you then start getting assessed some sort of penalty. And so you'll have a rush of people that'll go in. So when we bring you the January financials, you will see that number jump. I think currently it was at 552 or 652. You'll see it jump close to $1 million pretty soon, so you're gonna see some money come in. Because of that, we also have some large, our debt, we need to make sure we cover our debt, and our debt is usually between the 1st and the 14th of February. And so we're making sure all of our debt is covered and paid for.
Like on some of the minor repairs for vehicles, some city trucks that I've seen, that apparently, maybe you might not know, there's one vehicle apparently that the employee has to hold the door with his hand or with a bungee cord.
That should not be the case.
I was just wondering if somebody can look into that.
If you tell me which employee it is, or let me ask what truck it is.
Yeah.
I was gonna bring up,
Did that employee had an accident and never reported?
Not that I know of.
That happens too.
Maybe they have, it doesn't seem like the door is damaged. I think it's just
Worn
damaged
out.
by the hinge.
Worn
itself. Wear and tear.
Yeah, it's just a matter of
They-
fixing it.
Like I was saying, just maybe
Not a
taking it in
problem.
for repairs.
I was gonna ask on that, have you ever looked into a real animal control vehicle? Not just any kind of truck, no, not animal control, que ya traiga cages y ya traiga todo lo que necesita for animal control.
I know that there's some out there, and it's a manufacturer.
Right,
It's not a shelf item.
right.
And so we would need to put it in the process. I would think that vehicle is worth maybe $100,000.
And do they,
I can easily get the information.
Okay, that'd be great.
Any questions for Mr. Flores on the financial statements?
Nope.
If not, Mr. Flores, thank you very much for that statement,
Thank you, sir.
for that presentation.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 11, discussion and possible action to enter into a interlocal agreement with LaSalle County to help complete some of paving improvements along Kerr Streets and Lalo Gonzalez.
I was approached by the commissioner of that precinct,
Alba?
and I was asked whether we would consider an interlocal agreement. The only way that the county can do expenditures inside the city is to have an interlocal agreement. I told him that I would have to bring it to council, get council approval, and then once we got council approval, he could take it to Commissioner's Court and have them prepare the interlocal agreement so that it could be executed by the mayor and the judge. Jorge Martinez is the engineer for the county, and I believe the commissioner has already spoken to him about what he wants done at that place.
Good
We've
evening,
done-
Jorge Martinez again. So the Commissioner, Jack Alaba, had asked me to look into working on these streets within the city. He's mentioning Kerr Street from Business 35 north all the way to Rio Grande Street. That's the limits going north-south. And Lalo Gonzalez from Baylor to Kerr Street. Those are the two streets that he's looking at improving. He's asked us to assist him to get also, like Mr. Doylena said, to the Commissioner's Court to get an interlocal drafted so that both entities can work together, and he is planning on funding this roadway. I do know that if everything passes on both entities, there's some discussion about some water lines that may be adjusted prior to the paving operations, which is highly recommended. So, but he is looking at seeking your approval for this item.
Wasn't there an
We-
issue with a property over here on Baylor?
Uh,
The Lo Gonzalez in Baylor.
Yeah,
right in the
the gentleman,
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Lozano, who bought that property from Ms. Gonzalez, I think it is, had it surveyed, and in fact, his surveyor has said, and we went out there and traded surveys, we never were able to reach an agreement with the gentleman. And so I just said, look, if it's your property and you have the survey and it says this is yours, go ahead and put it in. If it becomes a safety issue in the future, we may come back in and tell you to move it and acquire the property and pay you money and just get you out of the way. But for now, we're not gonna do that.
Kinda looks in the way.
Well, yeah,
I have a question on that area. Is there still a problem on water being like holed up there to making a problem for water to flow correctly downstream?
there is an additional problem other than paving that is in that particular triangle. The highway department, because it is business 35, put a culvert there, and typical TxDOT, they take care of their roadways. They don't worry about the areas next to them. The city has now acquired the property in front of the drainage pipe, and we acquired another piece of property that comes toward Baylor. It does like an L there. At some point in time, we're gonna have to go in there and either tap onto the culverts to eliminate the water, because the water sheet flows into those houses that are directly in front of it. And those people have no protection whatsoever. And it's an ongoing thing that needs to be resolved.
Can a similar job be done on that area to what they did over there on Martinez Park? They redirected all the water to go under because they put the square pipes, right? The square culverts.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We're probably gonna go to Jorge to try to work on something. We still have an issue on Lane, and we've got an ongoing project that they're trying to resolve.
Correct.
The county, the way they did their deal is they created a retention basin, and that's how they stopped that problem in that area.
Okay.
We're looking at things like that for the little areas or smaller areas that we have, but we have that problem all over the city.
What is the proposal, an agreement, what is the agreement entail?
The agreement basically entails the engineering work and the material that is needed for the improvement of the streets to be provided by the county, and the city acquiesces to it. That's a
The
basic.
engineering and the material is, who provides the labor?
So the engineering and the construction
It's a
of the
con-
roadways
it's a
is what the
construction
county's gonna
contract.
pay
So
for.
all the city has to do is let them do it?
Yes.
Yeah. We've had other interlocal agreements also
Simple enough.
with our county, similar to
It's
this
an
one.
easy deal.
For the new council members, in the past, there have been arrangements where labor is provided by the city and the county provides other things, but if the city doesn't have to do anything, then,
No, we just need
It's
to
a
bring
big plus
it.
for us,
yeah.
for the city.
It's one of the things I believe is on Kerr Street. There's some speed bumps in that area. Am I correct?
Yes.
We're having a discussion about that.
That shouldn't be
But
there.
I know there's an issue there.
Yeah.
I hate.
So what you're asking for is just the approval?
Approval for us to continue with the development of the interlocal.
Yeah, no. I need a first motion to approve item number 11.
So move.
First motion made by Mr. Garcia. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Reynaldo Garcia. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 12, discussion and possible action to approve a contractor's application for payment number 6 submitted by Sal Construction Management
Mayor,
LLC.
if I might, and this is for the new council members. This item 12, item 13, item 14, and are all items that the council has already approved? Correct.
No,
Yep.
no, no.
Well, most,
12 and 13.
okay, 12 and 13. So they just basically come back to you to approve the payment.
Correct.
The engineer submits it,
This is for the water line that they built.
it's already been bid,
Yeah,
it's already
correct.
been everything, so, the amounts are big, so you might
And
get
the,
it
and
right.
the, and the items are brought for your information, so you can see how the progress is going on those particular lines.
They're almost done, sir?
The water line to
Water line?
the airport is finished, and they're currently going and concreting all the valves.
Excuse me, could I request a short
And they're
recess to use the
currently-
restroom? I just need to use the restroom. Could I request a short recess?
Sure.
All right, let's do a 2-minute recess. All right, back into item number 12.
If you can do 12 and 13, they're the same.
I need a first motion to approve item number 12.
Okay.
First motion by Mr. Sertucci. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Juan Garcia. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 13. This ties into item number 12, so I need a first motion to approve item number 13.
So move.
First motion by Mr. Gonzalez, I need a second. Second by Mr. Zertuche. All in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 14. Discussion and possible action to award the City of Cotulla Pool Street and Water Line Improvement Project based upon the recommendation of SMB Infrastructure to sell construction for the amount of $789,941.50.
She's gonna get Jorge.
When's the more or less the start date?
It's probably a month because we're gonna have to work on the financing of this
Yeah.
thing. But it'll be a month. You've gotta get the contractor's performance bond. You've gotta get pre-construction. He'll go through it.
So,
Does that include the pavement too?
The what?
The pavement of Pool Street?
Yes.
Are they looking into making the bridge maybe a little bit wider, the creek?
Ask him.
Mr. Martinez, that's, we're talking about item number 14, sir?
Yes, sir. If you remember back in, it was December, we went out for bids and we received, on December 10th, we received 8 bidders for this project. And I'll list them: Gallegos Paving, Diamond X Contracting, RG Enterprises, Tierra Lee Services, Miller Bros, J. Carroll Weaver, SJ&J, and Sal Construction. Excuse me. Out of the 8 bidders, we were within the budget, and the apparent low bidder came in at $789,941.50. With this recommendation letter from the engineers, we're recommending to award to the low bidder. If you can see the attachments, we're showing all the unit prices from each bidder and all the corrections that were necessary based on the unit prices. But at this time, we're recommending approval or recommending award to the apparent low bidder and begin the next step, which is to, bonds and contracts and everything else.
Councilman, any questions on that?
I did, what on number 29, what is that? It's the concrete channel, is that?
29. So around the existing drainage structure, we have some channels that are being constructed out of concrete at the low point to get the water down to the. So if you remember this project on Pool Street, there's a couple of areas that they're in need of drainage improvements. That's part of the reason why some of the pavement's deteriorating as fast as it did, or especially in some areas where it doesn't drain because there's no slope. So when we do this new road, we're gonna be creating 2 channels on both sides of the actual structure to convey the low points that exist today at the curb. We're gonna be replacing a lot of curbs as well at those low spots, and we're gonna funnel it down to the actual channel on both upstream and downstream.
Is that part of number 33 also, or?
33 is RCP, that's the reinforced concrete pipes. So we're gonna be installing an inlet, and it's gonna be discharging downstream south onto Mustang Creek. So I guess what I'll explain is we do have some open concrete channels that are being constructed. In addition, we are adding a few inlets to the east of the structure to convey the water downstream on Mustang Creek.
So we have better drainage.
It's gonna improve the drainage, yes, sir. That, I think somebody mentioned they had a question on if we're gonna redo that whole structure, make it wider. At that project, when Mustang Creek gets reconstructed, I know that the city does have plans in the future to redo Mustang Creek. That's why there's been acquisitions up and down Mustang Creek. Whenever that ultimate project does come in, the plan is to improve all those crossings all the way through town. So right now, what we're doing is we're essentially tying into that structure, improving it, making it better, but whenever the city does do that second phase of Mustang Creek, they'll be reconstructing all of them, because as you can see, the pipes that are there are not adequate.
Right.
for what's required for the flow. So when we come back later on in the future, there's money or grant, there'll be box culverts that will be installed there to replace.
Thank you.
On number 15, when it says with fittings, restraint system, etc.,
Yes,
does
sir.
that mean copper tubing?
That one, number 15, is the actual water line. So anytime you do a water line, you gotta have restraint joint fittings. That's a little different. That's on the PVC pipe. The copper lines you're talking about are for the services. Those are on
Yeah,
item,
I don't see it.
item number 27, single water services.
Oh, okay.
So that encaptures all the service from the service meter all the way to the line.
To the tap.
Yes, sir.
And the part for item number 22 on the fire hydrants.
We're replacing all the hydrants on that line, on that roadway.
Okay.
Now, we do have it in the plans that if there's, if the city so chooses to salvage, whether it's material from the existing roadbed or any hydrants, they are gonna be sent to the city yard at the city's, request. Otherwise, they dispose of them.
Oh, the fire hydrant is gonna be concreted around, so when the water is released, it won't make a big hole on the dirt.
Around, I know that they have their standard, we have the standard detail that shows them coming out of the ground. There's no concrete rims or collars around there, but there are gonna be, driveways that we're gonna be redoing. You remember, we're gonna be doing all those driveways, so, most of the hydrants that you see out there are gonna be replaced where they sit today, so.
On number 8, remove existing curb and gutter. What, you're not moving the curb, no?
No, we're not
No.
relocating it, but there's a section on the drainage area that
Oh,
is
okay.
draining the opposite direction.
Se está
Is it,
quebrando toda.
Yeah, okay, I've seen it here.
So we're gonna replace that, several sections of that to help fix the drainage.
Councilman, any other questions on item number 14?
I have one, item number 10, those, I believe it's millings, the removal of existing asphalt.
Yes.
Is that, material to be drop off on our city yard, or there'll be?
It's only excess material. We do call in the plans, and we've done it for the last street projects. There is any excess that the county the city can reuse it at the city yard on Pool Street, but right there down next door. So
Right.
the intent is to reuse whatever we can that's available to us.
Okay.
Because usually the contractor takes it, no?
He has the option to keep it, but we're saying that we want to make sure that we have that option, so.
He's probably gonna try to mobilize his equipment and probably store it there.
At the pool, that little yard there.
Now, the city does have land nearby that they've purchased, that they can, if they so choose, they can
Yeah.
allow the contractor to station there right next to the pool.
And I think we acquired an additional tract of land that has not been cleared or cleaned.
That'd be
So
perfect.
I went by there today and I was looking for that.
Okay.
Number 35, hey, especially on the slope or what? Number 35?
Hay bales, no, those are, we put them on the inlets right in front to protect for any,
Oh, okay.
Que no se le entre tierra.
Yeah,
it protects the system.
Does it have a seed for the grass to grow?
This one doesn't, the one you're looking for, I know they can cut open and spread out, that's another
Okay.
one, yeah. Now, there is some erosion, I don't think we had any here, but, sometimes we did put the rock filter dams. One thing I failed to mention, we did put some railing on that structure for safety, because right now it's, anybody can drive off, so we're gonna be putting some railing there,
That little
up and
bridge?
down on both sides, yes.
Excellent.
it's good, yeah.
On on item number 14, it says street signs. What street signs are you talking about?
We're replacing a lot of the stop signs, speed limit signs, stuff like that.
Today?
Like, yeah, we're gonna be replacing them, and anything that's obviously gonna be reused, the city can use them somewhere else if they so choose.
Okay.
But we have new ones coming in.
Councilman, any other questions? If not, I seek a first motion to approve item number 14.
Aye.
First motion made by Mr. Sertucci, I need a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Juan Garcia, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 15, discussion and possible action to approve amendment number 1 to the text Cdbg number 721-9089 engineering services contract extending determination date from December 31st, 2020 to December 31st, 2021 in order to complete the scope of service.
We have had a lot of issues with Texas Department of Agriculture that does this project, and we have had to redesign the project. And although we made some changes to it, they're now asking us to do an new environmental assessment. Jorge has done the project. It is funded by them. This is the area where Telma Trevino, there's a little piece of land there, and then you have Ortiz coming down into that channel that's there. This is seeking to improve all of that to be able to do the project. But Jorge notified us and told us that his contract was ending, and so we're asking for an extension of his contract so that we can finish the project. As soon as the environmental assessment is approved, I believe they will allow us to go out on bid. Is that correct?
That's correct. We're ready to go out for bids. We're just waiting for that clearance.
But it's not gonna be done from the railroad tracks, right, sir? Just from the little alley forward?
The problem that we had was that first they told us we couldn't use the money, this is state money. We couldn't use the money to buy land. And so I said, we'll put the money to buy the land. They said, no, you can't make that change. You can't put land. So we had to change the project, and we tried to work around it to make it happen. And we think we have a solution for it. After the contract is finished,
Right.
we're gonna go back to that owner that we had discussions with.
Garcia?
Yes, but he's in Korea or something.
Yeah.
And he said, yo estoy de acuerdo. You guys wanna run a pipe here? Do whatever? Yo estoy de acuerdo. But we need to finish the state contract.
Oh.
That's right.
Councilman, any other questions on item number 15?
This
Not
is strictly just extension of contract time.
Yes.
So,
It is just an extension of contract time, so I need a motion
money
to approve
involved.
item number
No
15.
money.
No,
I seek a first motion for item number 15. First motion made by Mr. Sartucci. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Juan Garcia. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 16, discussion and possible action to ratify the disbursement of longevity pay for all employees in December.
we normally do this in
Every year.
December. And since we couldn't have a meeting, we followed the same guidelines. You have the list of people and how they were provided longevity checks, what we call longevity checks. And this is for your information.
I need a first motion to approve item number 16. First motion by Mr. Gonzalez, second motion by Mr. Sartucci. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 17, discussion and possible action to approve the 2021 holiday schedule.
This is the same schedule that was approved last year. There are no changes to it.
Councilman, any questions on the schedule? If not, I seek a first motion to approve item number 17.
So moved.
First motion made by Mr. Gonzalez. I need a second. Second by Mr. Sartucci. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 18, report by Larry Doylena on cost-cutting measures for the remainder of the budget year.
Can we table that?
I need a first motion to table item number 18.
So moved.
First motion made by Mr. Juan Garcia, second by Mr. Sartucci. All in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 19, report on COVID CARES Act expenditures. I believe this is what we were talking earlier.
Yes. Do you have the total amount of money that we asked for reimbursement? You don't have it? Can we table this item as well? I'll bring you an exact figure of the amount of money that we asked for reimbursement.
Excellent.
And I'll also provide you, if it is the case, that whatever new money is gonna be available.
Excellent. I need a first motion to table item number 19.
So moved.
First motion by Mr. Gonzalez, second by Mr. Sartucci. All in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 20, discussion and possible action on the Mariel Declaration of Local State Disaster due to the public health emergency regarding mask mandate.
I would recommend that we issue the mask mandate inside the city for a certain period of time.
Sir, do you think we can get bigger signs for the businesses for the mask? Or maybe just a little bit brighter colors on that?
If we get additional money, we can do anything.
Simply because sometimes the colors that we recently had, it doesn't stand out. So maybe something that'll stand out to where it'll catch somebody's eyes.
And some of them are fading away, some of the signs that I've seen, but that's probably a good idea.
We can get new signs.
If we mandate this and people refuse to wear, what can be done?
Not much.
You,
You can ask them to, the individual businesses can, and I think they should be policing who's coming in and.
well, you can close businesses down.
Businesses can refuse to do business with anybody who walks in their business that doesn't have a mask on.
There
Or
is-
you gotta send them back to their car and get them a mask.
San Antonio has like revoked certificates of occupancy and things of that sort.
There's other things that the city does to kind of strong arm you into doing whatever. But once you get into a critical stage like Laredo is right now, they're doing whatever they need to do to make you comply. And so they've got undercover cops going into businesses. They're taking pictures of people without masks. They're taking pictures of people that are violating percentage of occupancy. They're doing all sorts of things. And they're going after you. I mean, because for them, it's a critical issue.
Where has the county been on this? I know we had a series of orders.
The judge and I think they have a fire marshal or somebody here who has gone around doing some of that. I don't know how strict they've been, but I know that they've done some of that.
I know at one point, and I'd have to look at this because we never attempted to do it, the governor had said that, yeah, you can have the mask mandate, but you can't fine anybody for not wearing the mask.
No, but you can do other things.
Right.
You know, I was telling a councilman from a different city the other day, I said, look, you know, if you can't do this because the governor says you can't do this, well, the governor can't tell you not to enforce health and safety codes, can't tell you not to enforce these. So you develop a team, you take a building inspector, you take a health department inspector. In our particular case, we had issues with the bars. And they had prostitutes from Laredo. We went in there and part of the team was a border patrol unit. And we all walked into the bars, did whatever we did, closed them down. And there wasn't any question as to what you couldn't do, as long as you have certain things that you can grab onto. And the thing is not to hurt anybody, the thing is to make sure you take care of everybody else.
Yeah.
Do we have businesses that are not compliant?
I think we had resistance from one or two, but I think the majority of them complied.
I was
And
telling,
don't ask me who the one or two are, because I'm not gonna tell you.
I was telling Juan that I was in Pearsall today, and I was at the at a business, and no one had a mask on. I mean, no. They had these things up, but nobody was wearing them.
Employees,
But that's crazy, because the employees are the ones that take it on the jobs.
Usually when you walk in and, you know, they take it off because they're working at their desk and
Yeah.
somebody walks in, they put it on. They didn't even try. It's like, okay, no, you don't. But I know there's been a running battle between the governor and the cities.
I would suggest go ahead and do it anyway.
No, we need to do it.
Because it's gonna help the people anyway.
What is
Some
it-
will listen to it.
What is the time, do you want to extend it?
90 days.
90 days?
90 days will be sufficient,
90
and
days.
we'll
Yeah.
take another look and see if we extend it or
and
not.
if you need to do it some more.
So
After 90 days.
January, February, March, April 30th, the end of April.
Yeah, we're gonna keep pushing for vaccines, so,
I think we do need some bigger signs with, maybe yellow with black, something they'll send out.
we'll get some other design.
Okay, so I'll say April 30th. We've done a bunch of these. In fact, I think ours had expired.
It did.
It did.
No, we wanna bring it back.
Most people know they have to wear them, and I think most people are wearing them.
Yeah, I see it in town. There's a couple, yeah.
A lot of people are responsible, they know what it means.
So would there be a motion to approve till April 30th, 2020?
I need a motion to approve the mask mandate all the way up to April 30th to be relooked and maybe either add more time or end it again. I need a first motion.
Right.
First motion made by Mr. Sertucci. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Juan Garcia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 21, closed session. It is now 8:30. Text government and code and section 551.071, 1 and 2. Luis Ayala Jr., versus the city of Cotulla. L in the number 20-02-00035 in the 81st Judicial District Courts, LaSalle County, Texas. B, wastewater treatment plant area utility assessment easement. C, Katula ISD utility easement.
And the time there.
The time is 8:31. All right, back into open session. It is now 9:20. City Council will reconvene into the open session to discuss taking possible action on closed sessions, items 21A, 21B, 21C. No action was needed, no action was taken. So moving on to item number 23, meeting is adjourned, and it is now 9:21.